Having a strong foundation is so critical. These guys are going to enlighten us with a little bit of insight about why that is so important. Stay tuned, everybody. Welcome, everyone, to Your Little Castle Show. We get to bring some insightful, fun, cool hair, and intelligent guys. We've talked about why I enjoy working with small business owners so often. Love the big guys. Got to go to the store sometimes. Got to get that stuff done, whatever the big brand name, what the big box stores they call it, right? But when it comes to getting things done with regard to like your home, when you get to talk to the founder, the owner, or his head production guy that they've personally known each other for a long time, work together, and you're not going 7 or 8 levels deep, you know, it seems to make sense that you're going to get a better quality product. Would you guys agree with that?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
If you call us, one of us are going to answer.
You're going to get a call back from the production manager, the project manager, Craig, or the founder, or the owner, or his brother, right? Your brother.
That's right. Co-owner.
He's out doing
any
some
one
work
of us might answer the phone. You don't know who.
And that's pretty much your options. But when it comes to dealing with problems and issues or questions or making sure that things can get done in a timely fashion, it's nice to work with small businesses, right? All right, everybody. That's why we shout out to our sponsors as well. Carroll House Furniture, because you like nice things in your little castle. How many of us have a castle that is built on a very strong foundation, right?
That's right.
You guys are the key. We're going to talk about this here at length, everybody. But also, you might want to make sure it's nice and cool. It's very cool in our studio now. If you guys have been here about a week and a half ago when it was 107 with the heat index, we ended up like, hold on, guys, we got to turn on our portable air conditioners, which lined the room. We had 3 of them in here. We turned those on during the break just to get so we weren't sweating on set. But I got to give a shout out to Indoor Comfort Team. Great guys. They're Adam and his crew with Andrew and everybody who were here at my house for about a day. Got it all done. 2 new units in our facility, and now it's 63 degrees. It was shooting for, maybe it's 65. It's a little chilly in here, but it's 100 degrees outside, so we appreciate that. And finally, those guys do a great job. If you're going to, I was having a little chat here with Calder, our guest, and gold. We're talking gold a little bit. I don't know much about gold, but I've been learning a lot recently. And gold has become one of the hottest commodities with regard to like something you can count on. It outperforms the S&P. Did you know that?
I didn't know that.
I was shocked to find that out. I looked it up. I'm like, there's these graphs, and there's the investment guys who are world famous couldn't win the $1 million prize because they couldn't get their mutual fund to outperform the S&P. But guess what has? Gold. So we're going to bring you some gold knowledge here too with regard to your basement and foundation. So now we're going to go back and show off these guys. Great looking website. I am an official website grader, if you will, and didn't find hardly anything. A couple little tweaks I would say make, but other than that, I'm like, there we go. You judge a company very often by their website, and you can say, hey, these guys have it together, or they don't. It's pretty clear you guys have it together. Good work.
Thank you. Thank you.
Calder, Craig, tell me, give me the history. A long time been doing this, almost 7 years, 6+. Personally, in the foundation, you did some high-level engineering design.
Absolutely.
For foundations, and we were joking. I'm like, so like 20-foot slabs, and I was like, I don't know if I'm talking about 20 feet deep, but maybe I was, because I'm just like, I just threw out the number. You're like, yeah, they could be 20 feet.
Very big pieces of concrete.
And that's now when you're dealing with houses, not quite as much, but it's equally as important because you've got somebody's family living there.
More so, we want to try to bring people some peace of mind and some good, easy sleep at night.
If you have a foundation problem, you've got big problems.
That's right.
I've talked about a buddy of mine who'd been in the business for decades, and I just got to learn a little about it. I'm like, the stuff that goes on, I mean, you get that little crack, you think it's not that big of a deal. It could be a much bigger thing behind that, or something coming, because that crack is an indication of a fault, if you will.
It can be. One of the things that many foundation repair companies are going to look at is the cracking in your foundation and say, maybe you need some very expensive repairs. It's one of the reasons calling a local company is a good idea. Many cracks are just concrete shrinkage cracks, and they don't need expensive repairs. you call us. We're going to give you an honest bid, and we're going to let you know exactly what type of work you need. And
We talked about that.
Help you.
That's one of those tricks of the trade. I mean, and I'm not naming any specific company, of course, but we had heard, and I'll use one example. Now, tell me if this applies. This is what you're saying. They had a plumbing problem, and they came in and said, "Oh," and apparently the guy like unloosened one of the plugs and let black water spray all over the place, and then came back up upstairs to the old lady and said, "Ma'am, you got to replace all your plumbing." Is it a similar type thing? Oh, we've got cracks. And there's companies that will say, "Oh, you got to have a whole. Here's your foundation repair, $50,000." When all it would have taken may not even be serious. It could be something that's a normal. There's control cracks too. I understand in driveways. Is that true in basements as well?
in basements, there are generally no control cracks. What you will see are some concrete shrinkage cracks. So where you have control cracks in a driveway, that same force is applying on a concrete foundation wall. Where your concrete shrinks as it cures, you might end up with some vertical cracks in your foundation. Those are pretty typical of all concrete poured foundations. And some people see those, maybe water's coming through them. That's something that can be a relatively inexpensive repair. It doesn't necessarily mean that your foundation is structurally compromised. Now, that said, many times there are foundation issues that do need expensive repairs. And that's where we want to make things clear to any of our customers or people that are just giving us a call, where those differences lie and where the urgency is to address certain issues.
Craig, you've dealt with this for a while too. You worked for another company in the past, and then joined forces here because you see the emergence of some guys who are doing a great job. What have you seen with regard to this? And give us a little bit of your
Yeah, this is actually like the number one thing I get excited about for my job is you get to see something that, you take measurements, it's well within a tolerance, and then you see this maybe little old lady who doesn't quite know what she's looking at. She wants to protect an investment for what she's giving her kids, and she's got a $50,000, proposal from somebody on something that, she doesn't have her downspout corrected, the water grading's not good. You fix those things, it's probably not going to get to the level of needing a $20, $30, $40, $50,000 repair. And being able to be like, hey, let's not panic. This is why I believe this. These are the measurements we've taken, and then guide like a sober solution to the problem,
Right.
instead of trying to squeeze all you can. Another one just today was I saw somebody had 3 other bids. I asked, can we talk about them? They were $10,000 to $15,000 to waterproof the whole basement. He was leaking in one small corner of his house. Half of his roof was pouring right next to that corner. A few $100. You extend that. It's not guaranteed to solve the problem, but you're going to be really glad if it did, and you only spent a few $100 rather than a 5-figure project cost.
Well, yeah, I guess that's what we're all ultimately afraid of is that, okay, they're going to come in and tell me it's a much bigger problem. Is that the norm? But you're saying very often this is the case where you can just come in and say, hey, not nearly as serious as you might have thought. We start seeing water coming in our basement. Everybody gets a little freaked out, right? Start getting mold. I mean, you got all kinds of problems. But very often, that's what I guess. First off, you need an expert to come check this out
It's always good to
before
have
you
an
call
expert
the insurance
opinion.
company. Is that the case too?
Absolutely. And calling an insurance company very frequently is only going to hurt you because the insurance company is not going to cover your foundation repair.
Yeah, it's sad news for a lot of people. We watch a lot of people learn that during the process, but
Really?
they might, if you have a sewer backup or something, they might, or a major flood event, they might repair your drywall, but they're not going to pay usually for a sump pump system or exterior waterproofing solution.
If your foundation needs underpinning, if you have a settled foundation or a leaning foundation wall, those are things that insurance is generally not going to cover.
Interesting.
And there are issues like leaning foundation walls that are oftentimes much better addressed early on, and that's something that we're going to be honest in our evaluations as well. A foundation wall might lean inwards, and that's something that can be addressed before things have gotten so severe that further repair might be necessary. So we can save people a lot of money up front by doing a more simple repair than letting things wait and get worse. That's why it's always important to have an expert take a look at.
You see water in the floor in your basement, get somebody to take a look at it because there's some source for that. It may be a very simple repair, but if you catch these things early is what you're saying. I guess that makes sense because when you're talking about a foundation, I didn't realize this. My house, I was in the kitchen and my countertop had pulled away. I'm like, it wasn't like that 10 years ago, but houses are always settling. Is that right? And I guess one of the biggest things that settles in a house is the foundation. It's the biggest piece of anything in the house, what's the average foundation cost, or I mean weigh for a house? It's got to be tens of thousands. It's pretty heavy.
It depends on the size of the house. You might be looking easily hundreds of thousands of pounds
Okay.
over an entire foundation.
And so that's just sitting on dirt.
Right onto dirt.
And so as the Earth moves, and we're a rocket ship flying through the universe, everybody. It's traveling around the sun. We're not just some stationary thing. So there's all kinds of factors that affect that. But just sitting on that dirt, things can vibrate, shake. Roots, what's the biggest cause of foundation problems?
The biggest foundation problem is water.
Water itself.
Water itself.
Irrigation problems?
If you have bad downspouts, if you have bad gutters that are flowing onto the immediate
grading.
outside, bad grading, where water is able to saturate next to the foundation. So allowing water to flow away from the home, keeping things even around the home is your best way to keep your foundation healthy.
And this whole area is all clay soils, which will get completely saturated and become more malleable, especially if you have these periods where it rains for a month straight and then it doesn't rain at all for another month. You know, that can be where when people start to notice a lot of the big changes.
So the environment we have here in St. Louis, the Midwest, how far is that an issue with regard to that clay? On clay, is it more repellent of water, or can hold it more, or why does that cause more problems?
Some types of clay are going to be expansive clay. So when they have water, when they're exposed to water, the clay will actually expand. When they get dry, they shrink. Now, if you have that going on underneath your foundation, expansion and contraction of the clay, or next to your foundation, expansion and the contraction of the clay, that can cause foundation damage. That can cause that settling. If that clay becomes soft, that settlement might actually, your foundation might actually be able to sink into that now soft clay.
Cement is not designed to flexibly expand and contract. You're talking about that. I can only imagine you cause that. Is that what the major cause of cracks? And is you just got a little bit of flex in there, and all of a sudden there's just a little line that goes through it, and then water starts coming through there. All the other issues that you have with that.
Typically, we see too much water saturation in an area, water flowing underneath the foundation, possibly undermining it. And that's leading to settlement. That's leading to wall bow or wall buckling failures. So there's a lot of reasons that walls might come in. There are many other reasons besides water too. Maybe you have a expansive piece of concrete on the outside of the home that is pushing the foundation, and there's a type of failure called a street creep failure, where the street expands and pushes on the wall. So we love to find the correct diagnosis for why a foundation's moving. It is not always as simple as here's your water, here's settlement, or here's wall lean. We're going to use precision measurement devices to find out where your foundation has moved.
Wow. Okay. Well, we're going to talk. I get a little excited about this because I get to learn so much. But literally, there's a lot more at stake here. Craig, you've dealt with this a long time too. What do you see as the biggest source? When you walk onto somebody's property, you start examining to say, here's the sources, here's the potential causes.
And this goes to the waterproofing and the settlement. I mean, a lot of times someone will call saying, I think I have settlement cracks, my doors are starting to stick. Oftentimes, as I'm walking up, I just try to guess on the first look, and it's usually that corner of the house that has, again, half a quarter of the roof water dumping right next to one corner. And, 9 times out of 10, that's where we're going to find the issues once the measurements are all taken.
So is that why it's important to have those the gutter comes down if it's running straight along the side of the house and just dumping into the corner?
That's what keeps some business.
That's what keeps you in business. I may or may not somebody who's got a problem like that. But then they've got those little drop cement things. They're supposed to drop into that and run it out, right? But you run over it with your lawnmower. It's a big pain. And then they just have it going. And that amount of rain that comes down during that 30-minute rain can be enough water because it's so concentrated, I guess, going down there, and it'll cause.
You repeat that every rainstorm right there. And so you saturate it, it dries out. You saturate it dries out.
And also how much it's saturating relative to the soil around it. So we have one area that's getting just insane amount of water to it, and the rest getting kind of a normal amount. There's good grade maybe. It's going to cause that differential settlement that is what people call us to resolve. And
that's why you get experts, everybody. You've got all kinds of measurement devices. You're talking about different types of soil, and whether you've got, I guess some people remedy that, whether they will get some gravel and then what do they call French drains? Is this all right, everybody? We've done a lot of fun stuff in the community, so we want to share a little bit more of that here, and we'll come back and hear some more from our experts. I'm excited to hear how they fix these problems. Stay tuned for that, everybody. We'll be back here in just a second.
I have no voice.
Hey everybody, we've got some baseball players in the building here. Who's your guys? All right, first of all, let's talk about who's your guys' favorite player? Bryce Harper. Bryce Harper. Tyler. Last name. Mason Wynn. Fernando Tatis Jr. Aaron Judge. Who'd you get? Bryce. All right, so we got a Cardinal fan in there. You guys are from the Misfits, right? You guys are from down close to Paducah, Kentucky, right? How long a drive was it to get up here? Only a couple. It wasn't that long. Hey, like I said, when you get older, you start playing big league ball and traveling on and stuff. It's gonna be a lot longer drives. Maybe okay for that? We're gonna pay you well, okay? Ready? All right. So, why did you guys decide to come up here to see the Cardinals? Come on up here. Let's hear what they say. Why did you decide you want to come see the Cardinals? What's your name first?
Hunter.
Hunter. Why did you decide to come see the Cardinals?
Because we're playing a tournament here.
Because you're playing a tournament here. What about you? They decided to. Why did you decide to come up here? Are you one of the players?
They decided.
He's a bad boy.
He's a bad boy? Okay.
Bad boy.
All right, now we got something else going on kind of exciting here. We're going to work on this a little bit. Who's going to throw out the first pitch today? What's your first name?
Wyatt.
Wyatt? All right, Wyatt. Now let's practice this a little bit. Are you righty or lefty? All right, so give me your form. Are you going to do wind up or are you going to do the stretch? All right, so just show me how to do this. How are you going to do it? Right, all right, move over for me right there. You got to hold it. Don't let that trophy. I know it looks heavier on TV. I know. All right, you go like this, right? That's the rubber right there. Let's say, all right. We'll step up here. Show me how you're going to do it. All right, pretty good. Now, if I was going to be out.
His name is Carter Rethwich, but in St. Louis, he's known as the Cardinal Cowboy. He's a well-known fixture in the stands at sporting events in the Gateway City. He's one of its greatest cheerleaders, a super fan like no other. When he makes his rounds at almost every home game, he shares his love for sports with the rest of fandom with a smile, a cheer, some positive encouragement, and lots of selfies and pics. But the Cardinal Cowboy was born of a tragic incident. Rethwich was an aspiring athlete in high school and college. He dreamed of playing in the big leagues, but those dreams ended when he and 3 of his college friends were hit with a devastating crash by a 5-time drunk driver. One of his best friends died. Carter suffered a critical head injury. The trauma put him in a coma for 6 days. The doctors said he was never expected to function again. Those expectations never came true. He fought back and finished college. He was determined to prove the doctors wrong. Among other inspirations, it was his love of baseball that kept him going. And from his near-death experience, the Cardinal Cowboy emerged. His goal in life became to inspire others with positivity despite the odds, to help people believe in themselves and achieve their dreams.
So after my coma, I realized that it was up to me if I was going to accomplish my goals, if I was going to reach my dreams. Despite what the naysayers would say, the people that were discouraging me, like they do everyone, it's up to me if I'm going to make it. Don't listen to the naysayers. It's up to you. You decide whether you're going to succeed, whether you're going to reach your goals. Dream, and then always, always chase your dreams. Never give up. Giddy up. Hey everybody, Cardinal Cowboy here. I want to invite all of you to be part of my new team. No, you don't have to put on a baseball uniform and be a super fan. Now, it would be a good idea to cheer for the Cardinals, the greatest team in the history of the National League. But I'm talking about the Gold Cowboy team. You know, I love to help people follow their dreams and reach their goals in business and in life. So that's one of the reasons why I'm telling you about my friends at My Metal Pro. They help people like you and I acquire gold and silver with a membership that lets you safely buy, sell, and store gold and silver. They make it real easy to get started. My Metal Pro isn't like the big guys you see on network TV or the big coin shops that take a huge commission. So become part of my Gold Cowboy team. Scan the QR code or go to goldcowboy.com and check it out. Giddy up! Well, there we have it, everybody. That's where you get to see the fun stuff we get to do in the community. I'm wearing my hat. I think there's a little dirt on there. Let me see. we're cowboys, so sometimes we get dirty. But thanks for being contributors to our content here, so we can show off some of our fun stuff we can do in the community, and give us some expertise, because obviously we're getting into it here. Off camera there, we were talking about some of the stuff that you've had to deal with and how you've had to help people. So let's dive into that a little bit. When it comes down to what people had to say about you, 5.0 on the wall, everybody. Here, 44 reviews, and if you want to talk about somebody who's obviously doing a good job, I'm going to put up on the wall for everybody to see there. First one we talked about here, Scott Crawford. This is relatively new, because one of my questions, we'll get this later, but we can touch on it right now. Tell me a time when you really felt like you helped somebody. This is a tough situation. The guy even took pictures for you and put them in the review. That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Going a little above and beyond, he felt that you guys did some good work. Tell me about this one.
This was a job that we felt was a really good option for a smaller repair than what is normally offered in foundation repair. We were able to offer Scott a solution that was specifically designed for his home, and it wasn't something that is the standard cookie cutter out of the box foundation repair techniques, which would in this case be a little bit overkill. They are techniques that we use for full walls when that's necessary, but here we were able to do something a little bit smaller. The size of this wall is smaller, and we were able to offer him the solution in one day to fix this section of wall and get it matched back. We moved his fence and set new fence posts for him at the same time too. So all in all, this project was a really great project for.
Yeah, I'm highlighting there. If you can see my mouse, I do have a computer here we're using to produce all that. There are metal rods with bolts on them. That you explain how that worked and what you were doing there to pull that in.
So
you
we
can see what I'm talking about there on the wall, everybody. It's right here. Look at that little bolt in the very. That's a big bolt, though. You said that thing goes in 8 feet.
It is a 7/8 inch bolt, and it goes 8 feet into the yard, where it is buried 3 to 4 feet deep in a piece of steel and concrete. So that's actually holding back that entire wall. It's drilled through the wall, and that's what's able to let us pull that wall back and hold it permanently stable forever.
So I'm trying to understand. Like, there's this. This is the beam, the cement beam that's out there. Inside the yard, 8 feet in, there's a big piece of metal.
That's right.
That this thing's this is not going anywhere.
It's not going anywhere.
Okay. We have
And then additionally, all of this is backfilled with gravel. So as we discussed, that soil pressure on that wall, once you add drainage, allow that water to find somewhere to escape to, it's taking all that pressure off of it already.
Yeah, because water, I was just the other day, weird example, but I was doing a float, we had a little cabin, and I got in those little rapids, and it pushed me up against this tree. And like the water was just pushing me. I had to use, I played soccer, everybody, but I had to use all the strength I could to push myself, because you're just floating down a river. It's just a little lazy water, but that water can cause big damage. I guess that's what you see all the time. In this case, you really took care of. I noticed that bolt. I'm like, you have a bolt going through the cement down there, but there's a reason for that.
And one of the things we're really proud of with this is there's a lot of institutions that do the same sort of work we do, and they kind of have a one-size-fits-all solution. It's the same one they would reinforce a 10-foot foundation wall with all of that soil meant to we use, like you mentioned, we use it too in the right application with all of that water coming down to brace a wall. It's necessary to use the heavy-duty thing. But there's not a lot of other companies that will recommend a kind of smaller scale, more custom solution to a 3-foot retaining wall versus a 8-10-foot foundation wall.
We've done this for many years. We've pulled back many walls. We've repaired many foundation walls. And so we know kind of in practice what these systems need to take in order to achieve what we're looking for as far as the results. And we'll give you that design expertise anytime that we come for an evaluation.
And given your engineering degree and background, that is expertise and training for years, you've been doing this. I can tell. I'm thinking about another just landscaping related stuff, but like water again. If these things aren't properly installed, they may look good on the outside, but it's what they did behind it to facilitate the strength behind it to make that substantial. And that's what you're saying. A lot of these people, they're just, hey, it looks great, but when you walk away 3 years later, 5 years later, this thing can be collapsing. You're trying to sell a house.
That's right.
This could be a big problem.
We want a solution that's going to last a lifetime for homeowners and for the next homeowner. Any of our warranties are going to be transferable, which is really important for the home buying or selling process. One of the times where foundation repair is actually being addressed. So it's important for us that our products are built for a lifetime.
Yeah, that's where you get down to that cost analysis. We were talking about my lawnmower. I told these guys I was a couple minutes behind. The lawnmower had an issue, and I had to do the math. I didn't do the math yet, but I've had a lawnmower for 14 years. But it's properly maintained, and I didn't treat it like a baby. But I mean, you got your money's worth, right? Same reason for these kinds of things. You don't want a wall coming down. You don't want a foundation coming apart, because you're talking about your house sitting on that. There are houses that can be condemned if they don't have the proper foundation. You're keeping people
Absolutely.
from spending $3,000 to $5,000. What's the average repair cost for somebody who? I mean, I guess it ranges from anything from $500 to $50,000. I guess. Tell me.
That's right. You've got it basically on the money. For a residential repair, it can range from as little as $500 to $600 for a simple crack injection, to as much as $50,000, $60,000, even $100,000 if you've got very extensive foundation damage. So it's not something to wait for. You wanna make sure that you're at least getting the best repair that you can early on, before things get catastrophic later.
And Craig, it's something that people, as they come to, you say, come look at this thing, you might give them advice to say, okay, you've got a little time here. It's not as critical as you may think. Just to be honest with them and say, but at least I'm trying to encourage people to at least get it looked at.
Yeah.
Because as long as you avert something, you put it off, and then it's too late. Now you're coming for a much bigger repair.
And this is super important, because one of the things we do, and one of the things we're proud of that people mention is different in their experience with us, is we're not going to try to push somebody or alarm them or scare them if there isn't an issue. One of my favorite things to do is get a measurement and say, hey, once this wall gets to be pushed in about an inch, we probably want to think about bracing it. It's starting to become an issue. Maybe they're only at a half an inch, but we don't know. Maybe the house sat empty, it had all the gutters pouring over, all that damage happened in a 2-year span where the home wasn't maintained. And now that they have resolved, or I advise them to resolve, the smoking gun problems that are going to lead to that getting worse, we might never need it. One of the things I'm happy to do is I measure it, and I say it's about a half inch in. Then I go back to that same customer 6, 8, 12 months later, have a little marker that I measure it at, and say, this is still a half inch in. What you've done to control the water is enough that you don't need the $6,000 repair, which is nice for people. It's not always doom and gloom. Sometimes you do get good news if you're proactive and get it looked at. And with just installing some drainage that might cost a few $100s, you might get out of that $6,000, $8,000, $10,000 repair.
We want to stop people's foundations from moving, and we don't know if somebody's foundation is moving if they're new in that home and it's just a crack that we're looking at. So oftentimes monitoring is going to be the best course of action until you know exactly what needs to be resolved.
Okay. The other side exists.
Taking measurements.
Sometimes, and this happened a lot when people were waiving inspections, when real estate got kind of crazy and they didn't look behind the walls, and the wall's in 3.5 inches. That's a problem. We got to do something, or it's going to become an even bigger repair cost moving forward. So that does happen too. People haven't seen it before, seen the wall before, or kind of didn't notice the movement or some of the damage that may or may not have gotten covered in the past.
Very cool. All right, everybody. We've covered a half an hour here already, so we'll be back with another half hour. I've asked them to stick around. We're going to talk about the in-depth about what goes on behind these, how you actually fix them, and more we can do to help you become an informed consumer. Giddy up.